Grew up in Ontario, Canada, played for the Senators and Nashville Preds. Mike Fisher, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What propelled you to the NHL?
I made some mistakes in junior hockey that I'm not proud of.
It's really difficult for Americans to understand kind of how youth hockey works.
We did some tournaments, but not like the league down here in Nashville. It's all tournament based.
Who was one of the most influential coaches?
NHL had a mixed bag.
You had, some injuries. You also had some disappointments. How did you keep your perspective?
Tore my ACL, needed surgery. I remember calling my mom. She was crying.
Did you ever wrestle with, I'm tired of it, I want to quit?
I think it's good to switch up sports, and I think it can help.
What's the most challenging part for you parenting them?
I've not pushed hockey on them. I want them to want to do something.
Before we get to the podcast, if you have middle school or high school kids that play sports and you don't want to fundraise like me, we got you covered. My buddy Chris Carneal owns Booster. Chris?
We help schools and sports teams raise funds in a super fun and engaging way. In fact, the last 22 years, we've raised $750 million, and we can't wait to help you. Choose booster.com.
Welcome back to Pure Athlete. I am Jeff Francoeur along with Britt and Brad. How we doing, man?
Doing great. Beautiful day. A little bit warmer than usual.
God, you ain't lying. It's been
It's
freezing
been a rough,
down here.
rough
I'm not
stretch.
ready for this.
Yeah, super nice day, and I can't wait for this episode because we all just watched this really fun hockey event last week, and now we have a hockey player on.
Well, it was fun till the end.
Well,
and I'll be honest, I want to give my opinion on this before we bring them on. How is it that we can beat Canada in the round robin, but we can't freaking beat them when it comes to the medal match?
I think there needs to be another game.
That's
We're
what I
1-1.
think. Baseball, you do best out of three. Basketball, you're doing it best. But no, I'm excited about this guest. He was grew up in Ontario, Canada, played for the Senators and the Nashville Preds when Smashville got going, just north of us here. 19 years.
It's incredible.
Incredible run. And he is a U.S. citizen now, but as he'll tell you, the only sport he still bowls for Canada for sure is hockey. So, Mike Fisher, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to talk to you guys.
So go ahead, rub it in. Talk about Team Canada with another big win.
Yeah, I may have had some friendly bets with a lot of people here. Yeah, man, it was. It's hard to believe. I didn't realize that was the first best on best since 2010, which is crazy.
Yes,
but like the amount of people that, came up to me as like, man, I don't really watch a lot of hockey, but they were just loved it. It's so good for the sport.
The last time they played in that Olympics, I remember I was in Port St. Lucie for spring training, and Jason Bay, who's Canadian, was a teammate of mine. We had a big old bet on that game, and of course, Sidney Crosby wins it there, and I'm like, unbelievable. But I will tell you this, man, before we kind of get in your youth career and talking about your kids and stuff, was that not awesome for hockey? I mean, when you look at the ratings and that kind of stuff, just bringing awareness. Like, my dad grew up in Boston, so I'm a hockey fan. We had season tickets to the Thrashers before they jumped ship. But just to see, I think people realized how cool of a game it is.
Yeah, no, I like the amount of people I think that got hooked, and the playing for your country, and there's nothing like it. He would have liked to, like we were talking about earlier, a little bit, just seeing it a little bit, more like playoff format, but you can't do that within, inside regular season. And I can imagine some of these owners though, and general managers, of players getting hurt. But it's the long game for this. It's growing the sport. It's, it's so good for, the excitement of the game. There's no question.
How hard did it have to be for those guys to play in that game and then go back to like, I was hearing some people talk about like you're in Buffalo on a random Friday night now playing. Like, it's going to take them a little bit to get going.
Yeah, but just watching some of the top players out there, even, McDavid, I know he scored in the final. To watch him in the regular season, even playoffs, but that game, he had no space. The defensive play, there's no time. It's everyone's fast, It's just next level that I haven't seen since 2010, really, Olympics. Just the caliber of play is incredible.
It was like a perfect storm though, because you had the whole country versus country.
Oh, yeah.
You had the how bad the NBA All-Star game
The
was.
debacle that it was.
And I mean, it felt like, and Britt and I are old enough to remember this, but I mean, it felt a little bit like 1980.
It did.
Because the country got behind. And again, it's Canada's sport. We got to give them that. I mean, it really is. I mean, they deserve it, and I understand that but it was just, I really do hope that it's kind of like that, kind of a tipping point for hockey in our country, because it was just really cool.
You're sucking up to Canada right
Yeah,
now.
No, I mean, you know what? I just watched that the Olympic documentary on the basketball, and I felt bad for Canada in that
In basketball.
Yeah, because we were kind of like that was our sport that we kind of pulled it out on them. But yeah, it was cool.
Hey, Mike, what do you think about NHL allowing players to play next year in the Olympics and taking a break? And it just feels like with this thing this year and next year, the Olympics, the sport of hockey, it really does give it a chance to grow like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's come down to NHLPA, NHL agreeing on that with, owners, because there's so much money, travel, time. It extends the season. There's a lot of things that come into play. When it's all said and done, it's great for the sport, and I think it's incredible. Those guys, it's a sacrifice for those guys, but they'll tell you, I mean, it's worth it, I think, for them. And a lot of them will bring their families over there and travel and make it a really unique experience, and people want to watch it. I mean, I think the Olympics, more people will be definitely watching the Olympics, and hopefully, but you'll have, well, maybe you won't have Russia, but you'll have Czech Republic, you'll have Switzerland, other teams in there that that are going to add to that. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So let's talk about a young Mike Fisher growing up in Peterborough, Canada. So for you had what, 2 brothers and a sister?
Yeah.
And so was it just hockey? Was it other sports for y'all? How was your family dynamic growing up?
So hockey was definitely number one. My older brother played hockey, so I kind of just followed him. He was 2 years older, and then I started when I was 5 or 6, and there's rinks everywhere where I come from. All my buddies played. We started when we were young, and skating on ponds and lakes and all that stuff. And so, I did play other sports. I played, in high school, I played volleyball. I played a little bit of basketball in middle school and golfed a little bit. But hockey was, I did play baseball, which I liked baseball, but I just wasn't as good. I was a lot better at hockey. So I was like, I quit baseball to play summer hockey. So I went from, I played hockey all year round pretty much, which I don't know that I just loved it and wanted to get better. And that's my parents, said we could do that. My younger brother's a goaltender. He was 7 years younger. And, we'd go, when we were kids, we had a basement with a full net in there, and it wasn't finished. So it was mostly like, block, concrete. And we'd just shoot real pucks down there. And, but so we put my brother in net early.
7 years younger.
We wouldn't always shoot real pucks on him, but in the net we would, just when it was open. But so he didn't have a choice, so he ended up being a goaltender, because we're like, bud, you're in net. And he was a good goaltender. He played Division I for Quinnipiac, and but we all played lots of different sports. My sister figure skated, she swam, I don't know how my parents did it, to be honest, but we. The hockey growing up there is a lot different than hockey here in Nashville, for sure.
So let's talk about that. It's really difficult for Americans to understand. Can you talk about kind of how youth hockey works in terms of, because I'm reading your biography, like you got drafted into the minor leagues. What age did you start? Like what age did you start realizing you had a shot to be pretty good at hockey? And then how does it work? You kind of go up through the ranks in terms of different type leagues and teams.
Yeah, there's a few different options. I got drafted to the OHL, which was a dream of mine. Peterborough Petes have an Ontario Hockey League, which is part of the CHL. There's 3 different leagues, Quebec, the Western League, and Ontario. So back deep in my, I wanted to play, in the Ontario Hockey League, and but I went and visited St. Lawrence when I was 16 just to see the campus and see, that was just an option. But at 16, I got drafted to Sudbury in the OHL, and I got drafted out of another like a junior B league. So I played for the Peterborough Pete's farm team when I was 16. So, but I always played, AAA. They call it the Peterborough Pete's minor system, and there's a AAA and a AA, and then a bunch of other towns have smaller, teams that'll travel, and we did some tournaments, but not like they do basically the league down here in Nashville is all tournament based because they just don't have the competition, locally. So when I was a kid, though, we'd hop on the bus after school. We'd have a bus rented. Our team throw our gear on. We'd go and play a game, half hour to an hour away. Finish your game, come back, and you're in school the next day. Because all the teams were close and all like competitive in Ontario. That was the benefit. We didn't have to, travel and fly to all these places. We didn't ever fly in a plane because we had too much competition. But we were just, we were a family that faith was really important too. And, I got some cool stories of, my brother being a goaltender. In Canada, we joke that there's, a rink on every corner. In Nashville, there's a church. But ironically, that, the church we grew up going to, the rink was right across the road. So when my brother, one year, that all his home games just lined up where he would actually miss the first half, but because he was a goaltender, he could go from church, finish the second half of the game. And my dad had talked to the coach and said, "This is how it's going to go. Church is important," and they worked it out, and it worked out good. So, but
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, man. The three of us are believers here, and we talk about it a lot. We actually did an episode. We're talking about all these tournaments now on Sunday mornings, and what you're showing your kids your priorities are, man. It's a tough, slippery slope.
It is, and I remember, if we had Sunday practices, most of the time I wouldn't be there. Now I would find other ways, but my dad, we knew what the priority was, and that's not to say we wouldn't miss church, here and there for sports, but it was pretty clear in our family they wanted our faith to be number one, and so yeah, it was. But I remember being made fun of too. I was the only Christian growing up in Canada. It's different than the South. So I remember being made fun of too, and guys just didn't understand our family priorities. So.
Mike, you talked a second ago about that you played year round. Did you ever, year round sports are big today, and specialization and all those types of things, and kids, a lot of kids burn out early. Did you ever, wrestle with, I'm tired of it, I want to quit, or were you just so passionate about it and loved it so much that playing year round never bothered you?
No, it never bothered me. I loved it. I got to play with different players in the summer, kind of a different team. We traveled a little bit more for that. But I don't know that I don't know that I recommend it to my kids, to be honest. And I just wanted to do it, and I felt like I had to do it, and I enjoyed it. But I think it's good to switch up sports, and I think it can help. I know other sports that I played helped hockey too. My youngest Jacob, he there's a spring program, and he's playing. He's about to play flag football, and he's like, "No, I don't want to play spring hockey. Let's just go to flag football." I was like, "Absolutely, you can do. You don't need to.
Yeah.
And he's 6, of course, but you want them to just, if they want to do it, and it's not gonna, obviously it's a priority thing of our family and time, and there's a lot to manage, especially with, my wife's schedule too, and family time is very important, but I think it's good to mix it up and not always have to be focused on, especially when they're young, no question.
Mike, did they play sports growing up? I mean, did they have kind of an athletic background, and how did they view kind of y'all's journeys, your brothers and sister?
Yeah, my dad he played a little bit of hockey, but not really, didn't play a lot. Played a little bit. I remember him playing men's league, and he never played competitively. My mom's actually the competitive one, and she grew up. She's got 9 brothers and sisters, and they grew up grew up on a lake and doing all the sports, and she was competitive. I think that's where I got a lot of that from too. But and then my older brother was a good athlete. He decided he played hockey. He played AAA top league till he was, I think, 14 or 15, and then he's like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I want to fix cars and hang out with my friends. And he ended up restoring an old 72 Nova when he was young. It's what he wanted to do, but which was fine. And so and my sister she was a good athlete, and then my younger brother's a good athlete too. But
Well, it sounds like your younger brother had no choice, man. Y'all were strapping him to the goal and just crushing pucks.
no, he didn't. But he was good at other sports too. And but yeah, I think it's good to have other siblings too, push each other. And
Yep.
it's the amount. Our two boys right now are obviously in that fighting stage, which I don't know if they'll ever get out of. But it just reminds me of me and my brothers. But yeah.
So Mike, I'm curious. You're known for being a humble guy. Your demeanor right now, that you exude humility. I'm going to ask you. Tell us. I mean, you said all these kids in Canada are playing hockey. You made it to the NHL. You played 19 years. Tell me what were you best at? What got you? What propelled you to the NHL, and how did you develop that?
Well, first of all, I say, that God gave me the talent, and He also gave me the will and determination. My parents, they would tell stories of, people want to take a lot of credit, but I think God also gives you different, that will and that hard work. Now, I did see it. My dad's one of the hardest working guys. He doesn't stop doing things, serving people, always doing stuff. My mom as well. They're hard workers, and I think they helped me with that. And one of the things my dad, he said, because, it's also not, I say everyone plays hockey. Well, not everyone, because it's not cheap to play hockey with the equipment stuff. And if you could afford it, you could play. But all my parents' money went towards, you know, all their extra money went towards our sports. That was a huge sacrifice for them. So it wasn't cheap. But my dad, he always said, if I'm going to pay for this, and you can do whatever you want to do, but I want you to always give your best, because that's what God calls us to do, is to give our best. Um, but I would say the determination and will. I played with a lot of great players, more talented than me, but I had for whatever reason, I had the discipline um, to to work real hard and get better at what I was, and I didn't get as distracted. Now, I shouldn't say I made some mistakes in junior hockey and early in the NHL, and that I'm not proud of, but one of the things, my dad told a story I hadn't heard. I don't even remember this, but when we were Blue Jays fans growing up in Toronto, and in '93 the Jays, I think I don't know if it was a game 7, and I can't remember, but it was getting up. I had a game the next day, and this is like the Blue Jays were about to win, and
Joe Carter.
yeah, that's right. I get up. I had no idea. I didn't know. Well, it was getting late, where it was my bedtime, and I just said, okay, I got to go to bed. I missed it because I had a game the next day, and I wanted to get my sleep.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
So,
discipline.
and I was like, okay, I don't remember all that, but my parents were like, no, we didn't have to ever get on you. It's like you had it. You knew what you wanted to do, and you were so focused, and at a young age. So, and a lot of guys get sidelined by you know lots of other different things and temptations and stuff that can kind of come as you get older. But I had a lot of good people around me and family that supported me. I don't ever remember my parents, my dad yelling at me for not playing well. They were just like so supportive, and you know and which I think is, it's hard to do as a parent, but
Talking about having good people around you, who was one of the most influential coaches on you, whether it was growing up, junior hockey, pros, and why?
yeah, I had good coaches. I was thinking about it earlier today. I had good coaches growing up. I would say NHL, I had a mixed bag. Junior hockey, I had Tom Watt, who I really liked my second year. Actually, no, sorry, the end of my first year. Um, Most of my first year. First coach got fired early, but he was great. He coached the Maple Leafs back in the day, and he was funny. He knew how to command the room, and you knew he cared about you. He was a really good junior coach. I loved him. And then I've had some great coaches, Barry Trotz and Brian Murray in Ottawa, Barry Trotz, the good coaches, and Peter Laviolette too, who coaches the Rangers right now.
Yep.
Man, can he? And I'm like an emotional guy, so I like get me fired up, let's go, kind of guy. And not everyone's like that, but he was a great communicator, Laviolette. Barry Trotz, who's now GM with the Preds, really good guy, cared about you. The best coaches I found, and I don't, are the ones that really care about you, care about your family, build that relationship, and not just like what can you do for me now, but care about you outside of the game. So I didn't really answer your question with one, but
No, it's great.
but I had a mixed bag. I had coaches that I wonder how they got to the NHL, to be honest. And obviously they had success, but it's like, man,
Why would you want to play for him?
yeah, I'm like, man, but there's a lot of pressure. I say that there's a ton of pressure, and there's a lot of, maybe that's not fair for me to say, but it's like parenting too. Kids got to know, and every player's different and how they're motivated. Both my boys are totally different, like totally different. I got to parent them a little bit different too. And how I can't ever raise my voice with my oldest or he's done, like done. And then my youngest is like, whatever he does,
Yep.
so it's so different. But that's it, like being a coach and a good coach in the league. It's like, man, you got 20 guys in the hockey room that are motivated differently, or, and so it's hard. It's a hard job, but yeah.
Mike, I'm curious. You just said you're, from a hockey standpoint, you're an emotional guy. And honestly, this first time I've met you, you seem extremely even keeled right now. So was that emotion on the ice, and was that a switch that flipped, or how did you channel that? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, good question. People would say even keeled, but on the ice, I would say yes. There's a switch, a competitive switch for sure. Yeah, I loved, music to get me going. I love good, good, good movies, stuff like that kind of fire you up. And then, you know, some guys just have I don't know. I mean, the coaches that could come in and command a room and paint a picture and like, let's go, let's run through the wall, and the way, I guess the way I'm not an analytical mind. I was more, okay, let's go, let's run through the wall. If things got bad, and this isn't always good, and I look back and I wish there was things I would do differently. I didn't like watching video myself. I didn't like, some of all the stats and stuff. I was like, no, if I'm struggling, I'm just going to go work harder, which doesn't always work. But that was like my mindset, and I don't even have that much of a coaching mind, to be honest. Everyone asked me about coaching my kids. I was like, I'd love to play and I want to help them. I'm better like one-on-one looking, but looking at things and helping, and I'm more of better kind of one-on-one with guys when I was, captain on the team too. I enjoy that part of it, but yeah, in hockey, you're always looking for that, like that adrenaline way to find that extra energy, And some guys try to do it by trash talk and by doing different stuff, which I didn't. I didn't really have any. I didn't enjoy that part. Yeah, I just like, but that's why I like coaches that could really fire me up. And I tell them sometimes, like, if you gotta, whatever it takes for the team too, sometimes I need a kick in the butt. Everyone does, but,
Have you seen with your kids, what's the most challenging part for you parenting them for sports wise?
well, the other night, my oldest, they got beat out in basketball in the playoffs, and he didn't play really the last half, and he's one of the younger kids on the team, and he was so upset on the way home, just why didn't I play? We lost, I'm no good, So I was like, okay, trying not to just find an answer for him right away too. Just be like, man, I'm so sorry. Um, Working through that emotional part of that, trying to coach him through it, and he's improved a ton. Try to encourage him, but at the same time, just help him try to get over it the best he can, and kind of feel some of that emotion with him. Um, yeah, I've not pushed, for my youngest, I've not pushed hockey on them either. I want them to want to do something, and he does want to play because I played, but I find most guys that have played professionally, they're usually a little more chill with their kids, and just like if they want to do it, that's fine. If not, all good. But yeah, I guess just working through some of that. But sports, I mean, what great opportunities to help parent too, through some of these things, the ups and the downs. And honestly, like, it's good for them. I never made any all-star team. I got cut from Team Canada a couple times, but those are good things because they helped me want to be better,
Yep.
and so I guess that, seeing them kind of disappointed, and Isaiah, one of the things he said on the way home, he's like, I'm good at the things I don't want to be good at, and I'm not good at things I want to be good at. Because and it's like, all right, let's unpack that,
Let's see.
and it's like, okay, but in the right time, but just trying to point him back to his true identity, and how God created him, and the good things he is good at, and but that's why sports is so good. It can build a lot of different things, you know create a lot of great conversations. And one of the things with both my boys is they're so social. And my oldest, the one reason why he wanted to play baseball again is because his best friend was playing.
Yep.
He's like, oh, I'm going to play again. I was like, what? You said you didn't like it. Now Benny's playing. So, but
That can get him though. My son did that with flag football. He wanted to play because his buddies did, and now he loves it the second time around compared to 2 years ago.
That's good. Yeah.
Mike, you had an amazing career, with a ton of success, but you also had some injuries. You also had some disappointments. How did you keep your perspective? And gosh, just the fact that you were able to endure and have that long of a career. What do you think the key was?
Well, there's a lot to that. Definitely early in my career, I had a ton of injuries. I remember my first year. I got hit 25 games in. I was 19, really wasn't expected to make it. Kind of surprised everyone, a little bit myself too, but 25 games in, I got hit, tore my ACL, needed surgery. After the game, I remember calling my mom, and she was crying, and and then she's like, just remember, God doesn't make any mistakes. And I'll never forget, that conversation. And that kind of stuck with me because I missed over a few hundred games early in my career, and it was one after another. It's like, God, are you sure that I want to, you want me doing this? But I think it created some good things, and, helped build character in me. I made mistakes in a lot of ways. And when I was 22 years old, I wasn't living the right way the first few years of my in my career. And ended up living with my cousin, and he took me under his wing. We started a Bible study and recommitted my life to the Lord. And that was a big moment. Got baptized for the first time, and it kind of was like a different purpose for why God gave me the ability. And so yeah, it that kind of changed everything. But later in the end of my career, those injuries kind of back to that. I remember, I've had, I think, 10 surgeries and almost every injury you can imagine. And I would be, diagnosing guys on our team pretty much. Oh, you got that? Yeah, okay, I did. But it was kind of like, it connected me a lot with teammates, and I just appreciated the game more. When I was healthy and tried to enjoy it the best I can, and knew that God had me there, and try to be a good example in the room, and hockey for culture of hockey is just it's not always the best, and in the locker room there's a lot of good guys, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. I tried to be the best example I could because I knew I made mistakes early in my career, and wanted to try to be a light in the room, and use that ability, and that God had given me, and really hockey had become it became an idol for me, no question. And usually those things you're most passionate about are the can become idols if you're not careful. And so but it was I feel blessed to be able to play that long, and had so many great memories, played with a lot of great players, and um, learned a lot about myself, and I'm just grateful for the time I was able to play. So
You know what I love about hockey? Mike is kind of more even keel. We had Chris Pronger on here last year, and we showed some of his hits, and he was just
oh
lighting
man,
up like the 4th of July. Like he basically said, I just live to hit people into the boards.
oh, and he could.
He could.
And you could tell he still wished he was.
Oh, dude, we've kept in touch, man. I love watching him just follow. He's a beauty.
So he grew up. He played for the Peterborough Petes, my hometown. So when I was young, he's probably 10 years older than me at least. But I remember watching him when I was a kid.
Was he trying to kill people back then too?
Yeah. Well, he was. I remember when he first came in. It was 15 or 16, but he was just tall, scrawny kid.
Yeah,
But
he said that.
when he filled out and kind of, yeah, he was.
He was the guy you knew where he was on the ice, I'm guessing, at all times.
Yeah, but he could play a skill game. He did it all.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Mike, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you about what you're doing now. And I know you're married to Carrie Underwood, and I hear you've started your own singing career. Tell us a little bit about that.
No, you may have you saw some videos, didn't you?
We have. Yeah. I watched. Now, have you had 2 singles now? I think they're both kind of a certain theme. Is that right? I mean, they kind of.
Yeah, kind of not funny because Carrie didn't think I was going to do the one before she bleeds. She was like, and I remember going. I was like, "Yeah, I'm going in the studio today," and she's like, "Oh, whatever." And when it came out, she's like, "You made fun of one of my songs." I was like, "Oh, keep in mind, And so anyway, but yeah, I gave up my singing career quickly. I'm not a singer, but right now, honestly, I'm running boys around to their things, and I'm involved with men's ministry at our church, and involved with PAO as well, which I think you guys know a little bit
Yep.
about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually building. I'm kind of building out or planning to build out a retreat center right now for men's and women's ministry, and marriage retreats, and stuff like that. So that's kind of a project I'm working on right now, and which will be coming up in the next few years, and kind of just stuff like that. I'm fortunate to be around a lot of good people around our church that are real close, and all our kids are kind of growing up in the same area. And right now it's just trying to be there for my boys because it's going way too quick, and just a lot of family time and church time. And I do play Tuesday mornings. There's a good group of guys that play a little pickup at a rink close by here, so do that once in a while. But yeah, just being.
Do you ever get that competitive itch when you get there, or is it more kind of friendly?
You know what, I do every once in a while. I do. It's hard to turn off, and I don't. It's like I love the workout and all that stuff, and I love a good group of guys. Some of them I played against with, but every once in a while it'll switch on, and the guys are like, oh, But yeah,
Well, finishing up, I got 3 more questions for you, and I'm going to let you go. 2 are kind of quick. When you met Carrie, who knew more about? Did she know more about hockey, or did you know more about country music?
I knew way more about country music. Growing up in Peterborough, Ontario, that's pretty much all we listened to.
Okay,
I knew
nice.
nothing about hockey.
I would say I'm pretty sure you had to explain everything about the game to her.
Oh yeah, she knew nothing, but she grew to love it. She really did. But yeah,
Well, and what is your favorite song of hers? I'm curious.
I like something in the water.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good one.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
a
good
good
one.
one. Yep.
Yeah, she wrote that one. It's kind of a cool story, and yeah, that I love that one. Yeah.
Nice. And my last question for you is kind of what everything you've done, watching your parents, how they raised you, all the coaches, that you did. What's some of your advice to youth sports parents today as they're going through the journey with their kids?
I would say I always tell, and I'm half joking, but you see so many parents that are burnt out and like just trying to survive, and I get it, and we only have 2 kids. Like I think some of you guys have 3 or 4, and I don't know how my
Four,
parents
four,
did it.
6.
Oh, shit! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I'm
I don't
burned.
know why do you think he's bald?
I'm burned out. Yeah, I'm the guy that's burned out. You're right.
So, but I think it's like trying to set priorities, and it can be it's hard because you want your kids to do what they want to do. If they're passionate about something, help them, right? And help them become, who God created them to be. And, I look at priorities for a family, and we went through this, the sermon or the sermon this Sunday at church, kind of the priorities of, God and church and family and, job. And I think there's 5, but there's no sports in there. But sports is a good conduit for relationships, for character building, for hard work. So sports are important, but if they become a priority, becomes dangerous. So it's balancing all that and trying to help our kids. And I see, I don't want it to be. You got to be careful because it's like I see my little 6-year-old now. He wants to be a hockey player, but that can't ever be my dream. It has to be his. And we have to try to guide them and help. We have to climb the mountain of their dreams. There's a book that I read that talked about that, and it wrecked me. Parenting with Heart by Chip Dodd is a great one, and it talks about that, climbing the mountains of their dreams and kind of how they're gifted and trying to help them, whether that's sports or music. And it can't ever be us trying to steer them in their, it's just us coming around them, being with them. But trying to, just as, parents, trying to help them with that. And it's okay to slow down too. It's crazy that sometimes even with not signing Jake up for the spring hockey, because all his friends are playing and he didn't want to, which is fine. But it's almost like, what's his guilt feeling of like, oh, all his friends are and he's not, that's
Yeah.
not, that's, he's 6, what is that, And I think you guys know,
You're right.
just the, competition, and it can be a trap if you allow it to be, But back to, I guess, just setting priorities for your family. It's okay to slow down and, but sometimes just, having help and talking to other guys that are dealing with the same things, that's what's important. Other families are dealing with a lot of the same things, and just talking about it, and we're all just trying to do the best we can, so, and that's okay too,
Amen, man.
Good
Well,
stuff.
But I'm
yeah.
preaching when I say all these things. I'm preaching to myself too. So
Yeah.
I want you guys, your listeners, to know, like, I don't, I know what my priorities are and what I want to do and what I want. Most importantly is my boys and their faith, and helping them become who God created them to be. But we're gonna make mistakes and along the way. But yeah, we need each other too to help. So
Yep.
Man.
We're all in the fight.
We are, and we thank you for joining us today. Thanks for the role model you are, obviously, and the man of faith and speaking out about it. And next February, the USA is going to get their revenge in Italy. That's my prediction.
All right.
But no, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
and
Mike.
like I
you.
said, it means a lot. And we're all same thing, man. We're learning podcast by podcast, I swear, on this kind of stuff. So it's great.
Well, thanks for all you guys are doing, and because there's a ton of parents that I know you guys are helping, and really appreciate you guys.